Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, here to continue covering the Steam Summer Sale, now looking at games under the price of $5. Now, this is going to be a little different, because I'm not going to go under the price of $3. That's going to be a separate video. You guys know how this works. There's like 8 billion games on sale that, like, under $5 can be like 4,000 games, so we're gonna do $3 to $5. I know the title says under $5. Wait for the under 3 and we'll go even cheaper than that, but let's get right into it. Let's start off with a couple Batman games. Batman Arkham Knight is $3.99, and obviously Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, they're all on sale. If you don't have any of the Arkham games, get the Batman Arkham Collection. That's $9, but you'll get Arkham Knight, you'll get Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and you'll get the Season Pass. You'll pay a little more, but still, if you just want one, Arkham Knight for $4 is a good deal. Obviously, this is the newest one, so I'm inclined to mention this. Visually, it definitely looks better than Asylum and City, and from a technical standpoint, it is a much better performing game than it was in June of 2015. We all know that, you know, it's 1A, 1B when it comes to worst PC port of all time. When you look at Batman Arkham Knight and you look at Star Wars Jedi Survivor, it truly is 1A, 1B. But Arkham Knight is much better now, and it's a worthwhile game to go through. Also want to give a shout to Batman Arkham Origins, the redheaded stepchild of the Batman Arkham franchise. Arkham Origins is not as good of a game as Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, or Arkham Knight, but it's still a pretty decent game, and in fact wasn't even done by Rocksteady. It was done by WB Games Montreal, who did Gotham Knights as well. I know Gotham Knights kind of a mixed reception, but Arkham Origins, certainly a quality game to go through, and I would say, you know, give it a playthrough. When it came out, it did have multiplayer support, but you could, that's not a thing anymore. You're buying this for the single player campaign, and the single-player campaign's pretty darn decent. Alright, moving on from that, Hellblade Senua Sacrifice. We got this for $4.49. Hellblade Senua Sacrifice is an incredibly atmospheric and engrossing action title. When we were leading up to the release of this game, I was not totally sold on it, but then it came out and blew me away. Graphically, aesthetically, this game is tremendous, and if you're looking for a darker game as far as tone goes, this is exactly what you're gonna get. Obviously, Hellblade 2 is in development right now. You know, I am cautiously optimistic for that game, but they're just not showing anything outside of just, like, weird walking sim stuff, so it's just, like, weird what's going on with that game. Hopefully it's out in 2024 and turns out to be great, but for now, Senua Sacrifice certainly well worth a playthrough. $4.49, great deal on that. Next up, Dust and Elysian Tale, 75% off for $3.74. This is a fantastic action platforming Metroidvania, a great game that I would highly recommend. Came out all the way back in 2013, and when this game initially came out, it had a good bit of buzz around it. Obviously, you know, a lower key title like this, it's not gonna maintain that buzz for a decade, but I think, you know, it's a game that I'm always gonna give a shout to, especially at this price. Great art style, great presentation, gameplay solid as well, $3.74, great buy on that. Next up, Cat Quest. We got this for $4.28. Great game if you're looking for something more accessible. If you're playing a lot of Elden Ring and you need something that's the polar opposite, Cat Quest is gonna fit the bill. It's gonna be an enjoyable experience for you to get in, you know, have some charming fun. It's a game that's accessible to pretty much any age range, and they're actually doing more Cat Quest titles. The second game is out, and then the third game will be out sometime in 2023, I believe. Cat Quest 2 is on sale, and there is a bundle. Cat Quest 2 is $4.94. The bundle is $8.30 if you do want to get both games, so I'll leave that decision-making up to you guys. Next up, Valkyria Chronicles, 75% off for $4.99. A fantastic tactical strategy JRPG. It is a great game with a really strong narrative, awesome watercolor art style that has just aged incredibly gracefully. It still looks very, very good to this day. Is it challenging? At times it can be. You know, there's just one mission in particular that definitely did tilt me a little bit, but the game is so good from a narrative standpoint. It's not like a lot of other JRPGs. There's no overworld to explore or anything like that. The game is told through a very unique, like, storybook. It's done pretty well. Sizable amount of content, though. It's still gonna be a lengthy experience. $5 for it, no-brainer there. Next up, Little Nightmares, 75% off for $4.99. This is an incredibly atmospheric horror title. It's got some, you know, exploration, adventure, incredibly engrossing from an atmosphere standpoint as well, and that's what you want out of a horror game. $4.99 for this, I think, is really good, and a franchise that has really become a lot more popular than I think Bandai Namco initially expected. With it doing very well, you know, there was a sequel and apparently a third game is in the works, so we'll see if that comes to fruition. The base game is $5, there's a complete edition for $7.49, and there's a bundle with both games, Little Nightmares 1 and 2 for $19.43. Kind of pricey there, but is what it is. Next up, Far Cry 3, $4.99. This is the game that really brought Far Cry to a wider audience, and since it's Far Cry 3, obviously Ubisoft been doing a little spammerino when it comes to Far Cry, but Far Cry 3 is still excellent. Doesn't overstay its welcome to the towards the end. Yeah, I can see that argument, but man, it's still an enjoyable open world action FPS for $4.99. I think it's a great buy. Obviously, you're buying this for the single player component, but you know, and I know some of you guys don't even want to support Ubisoft anymore with everything they're doing, but you know, Far Cry 3 is a great game, and I would still say it's well worth a pickup, so $4.99, goodbye on that, all things considered. Next up, I want to give a shout out to Prototype. It's 75% off for $4.99. Prototype came out back in 2009, and it came out right around the time of Infamous 1, and there was this big superhero battle, which game is going to turn out to be better, and Infamous, without a doubt, was the better game. Prototype still offered a lot of chaotic fun with a ton of mayhem. The superpowers were insane. Narratively, it didn't really hit home with me, and visually speaking, that was definitely, like, back in 2009, like, the reason I think most people, like, crapped on this game, but you know, at this point, like, visuals are what they are. Gameplay-wise, Prototype is great. I think for $5, it's a decent pickup, so I would give it a shout. Next up, we have Mad Max, 75% off for $4.99. Now, this game had the unfortunate fate of being released the same day as Metal Gear Solid 5, and when you're talking about two big open-world games releasing on the same day, what do you think people are going to go with, Mad Max or MGS5? Well, people went with MGS5, but Mad Max turned out to be a pretty decent game in its own right. Open world, great combat, vehicular destruction, just a solid game. Narratively gets, you know, pretty decent, and unfortunately we're probably never going to get a sequel given that this game came out 8 years ago, which is wild to think about, but for $5 it's a great deal, and by the way, excellent PC version for this game as well, so that's fantastic, so check that out, $4.99 on that. Next up, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, 65% off for $3.49. Look, we know that Aspyr is working on a remake for this game, but working on is something that might be seen as a bit of a stretch at this point. We don't know what the status of that game is, we don't know if it's ever going to come to fruition, and KOTOR is still a tremendous RPG. Yes, does it show its age? Absolutely. You're talking about a game that's 2 decades old at this point, but it is an excellent RPG that is really BioWare in their top form, and you see this game from a decision-making standpoint, depth, it's a great game, still, you know, is a worthwhile game to go through, and I think for $3.49, it's a good buy, and I would give it a look. Next up, Wolfenstein The New Order, $4.99 on this, a over-the-top first-person shooter with a lot of mayhem to this one as well. Decent narrative, and I thought overall it was a pretty decent game. Wolfenstein isn't like my favorite franchise ever, but I like, you know, the gimmicky nature of it, and for $4.99, I think it's a good buy if you're into solo FPSs. Next up, we have Sonic Generations, the collection. You get the base game and the DLC. Sonic Generations is awesome, and this game came out in a time where Sonic was really, like, for every good game you got like 4 bad games, and Sonic Generations ended up being one of the good games, and it turned out to be a really, really good game, mix-mashing, you know, the Sonic of old and the Sonic of new. You have some 3D gameplay, you have some 2D gameplay, and you have Sonic in its peak form. If you're remotely a fan of Sonic gameplay, I think you're really gonna dig Sonic Generations, and for $4.99, a solid buy here for sure. Next up, another JRPG, Tales of Berseria is $4.99. A great deal, 90% off for a fantastic JRPG with one of the more compelling main characters that you're gonna find in Velvet. She's definitely been through some stuff, and she's definitely got a bit of an edge to her that a lot of other Tales of and JRPG main characters just don't have. A great game, and for $4.99, definitely worthwhile, and if you're looking to get into the Tales of franchise, Berseria's a pretty darn good one. Next up, Deus Ex Mankind Divided. We got this for $4.49. I would recommend you to play Human Revolution. We'll mention that in our under $3 video, but Mankind Divided is a decent game as well. Not the greatest PC port when it initially came out, and definitely has some elements that didn't hit home as much like it did with Human Revolution. Narratively, it kind of falters, and when you're talking about Deus Ex, faltering from a narrative standpoint is honestly a really big bummer. Mankind Divided is still good, however, the gameplay I think is stronger than Human Revolution. Visually, it looks good, and, you know, For this price point, it's a solid shout, and you'll get some good gameplay out of it for sure. Next up, Mirror's Edge 08, 75% off for $4.99. Man, this was one of the most unique games that EA ever published, focusing on parkour gameplay, and obviously, it's a bit on the shorter side, and maybe that was ultimately the game's undoing at a $60 price point, but now you're paying $5 for it, so obviously, that isn't an issue. It's a game that has a lot of replayability. People go for, the pacifist runs and whatnot. Just a great game. $4.99, I think, is a good buy, so check it out if you've never played Mirror's Edge. Walking Dead Season 1, $3.74. I've always mentioned that when it comes to Telltale games, 1A, 1B. When it comes to Walking Dead Season 1 and Wolf Among Us for me, Walking Dead Season 1 is fantastic. The culmination in Season 1 is, it's just an emotional roller coaster. Let's put it that way, since, some of you guys probably have never checked out these games, and there's a lot of spoilers that can be had, but Walking Dead Season 1 is tremendous, and for this price, no-brainer. It, won Game of the Year awards when it initially came out, so, yeah, worthwhile game to go through there. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, $4.79. I've mentioned this game all the time. Great open-world action RPG with quite a bit of challenge to it as well. Dragon's Dogma 2 is on the horizon, so definitely a good shout to check out Dragon's Dogma 1. Doom 2016, over-the-top first-person shooting, a mayhem, a lot of gore, a lot of blood, but if you're into that over-the-top action from a first-person shooter, you'll find that with Doom. Great soundtrack here as well. And then Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, 75% off for $4.99. One of the better games that Microsoft has published in recent memory. Blind Forest is great, Will of the Wisps is great, but obviously play Blind Forest first. It's a tremendous game with a fantastic art style that has held up really, really well. So, yeah, Ori and the Blind Forest, must play there. $5, no-brainer there. But that is going to do it for me. Links to all of these deals, as always, will be in the description box below. A lot of great deals available, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Even if you want to look at more $3 to $5 games, I could do, 84 more videos about games under that price. Alright, that's a little bit of a stretch, but you get the idea. There's just an absurd amount of deals available right now. That'll do it for me. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.